help the owner retire peacefully and not worry about their business going into the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And keeping the jobs too. Keeping the jobs there is a big thing. It's it affects various aspects of the community when someone shuts a business.
So whoever's watching this, if you have family members, people, a business that the owner is ready to retire and they don't have anybody to take it over, let's reach out to Catalyst to help them take it over so that business doesn't die when the owner retires. Hello and welcome to the Start Own Dream podcast, the path to owning your time. I'm your host, Edgar the Connector, and we have a special guest today.
My name's Victor Adam, owner of Axiom Enterprises, specializing in business acquisitions and optimizing processes to kind of free up your time. So it's pretty synergistic with the podcast you've got going on here.
I see your Zoom name says Victor the Catalyst. What is the Catalyst?
So Catalyst is something kind of like the instrument or linchpin that kind of helps put things together, smooth it out. So my focus is around, as I kind of mentioned, optimizing efficiency systems, processes, and things like that to allow a business to expand, grow, maximize profit, and then scale to the next level. So Catalyst fits in there. It's kind of the subtle force that helps kind of push those things along.
Cool, man. I like it. I like it. Axiom, is that a name for something?
Yeah, Axiom it's a word that I've used a long time for a lot of my businesses, and for better or for worse, it's just something I've used for a while. I like the name. It's actually a long time ago I had a band and it was called Axiom. But I always like that word. It means universal, obvious truth. So it has a decent definition behind it, but it's a nightmare when I'm telling people over the phone how to spell it.
I bet. And it's a lot shorter than universal obvious truth, right?
Right.
All right. Universal obvious truth axiom. Okay, cool. Awesome. And then your network gladiators as well.
Yep, that's one of my businesses. Network Gladiators is actually my primary business. It's a telecommunications company where we specialize in installing the fiber optics, copper cabling, basically the network backbone for new construction, commercial businesses. And we also do upgrades, surveys, things like that, anything related to the kind of physical install and general troubleshooting of the physical aspect of the network side of things. So that's kind of what allowed me to get into the Pace Morby side of things and the Subto, the Gator. This business was doing really well. I was like, wow, I've got money for a change. I should probably figure out what to do with it. So it's kind of how I started coming into contact with everybody here in this community. So
nice, nice. So network gladiators mainly for commercial
yes,
installations.
yep, we do a few residential things here and there. The catch with it is tends to be so small unless you happen to land a contract with a developer working on a huge community, which doesn't happen a whole lot. It's starting to become more common, but it's per house, unless you're talking about very large houses, you have maybe 5 or 6 cable runs, and that's like one job for one person for one day. So trying to build a business model. There's people that do it, but trying to build a business model around that's not the most efficient way. At least today, things are starting to change as homes get, more intelligent. And like now it's getting to where even lights can be powered with Ethernet. Power over Ethernet's what it's called. So there's starting to be more opportunity there. But yeah, the big focus is on the commercial contracts where you have, hundreds to thousands of runs, terminations, and big network setups, stuff like that.
Awesome. Sweet. Where are you located?
So I'm in Kansas City, dead center of the country, specifically the Overland Park area, but yeah, just the greater Kansas City areas where most people would be familiar with.
Okay. And that's where your business, your network gladiators is, or do you go all over?
Yeah, we travel all across the country to do this, but yeah, we've done work. We were going nonstop in the Sun Belt states for a while. Ton of work in Arkansas. It's kind of where we started with some of our larger contracts at first. And then they moved us to Florida, Texas. We did some work in Jersey, Colorado. So yeah, we go anywhere where the work makes sense.
Nice. So you said you had some money saved up and then you started looking online on how to use your extra funds, how to invest it. Is that what happened?
Exactly right. So I was kind of, you know, grew up super just, didn't have any money. And up to that prior job, one of my primary ways I made money was as a chef. So I was, working on the line for 10, 12, in the later days, 18 bucks an hour, which is considered great at a restaurant at the time. And then, so didn't exactly have a whole lot of spare funds. So I always thought real estate was just, definitely not something that's worth my time or investment, and just not something I could even play with. So I had very little idea behind it other than I was aware of just its negative impacts with the 2008 crash with the adjustable rate mortgages and all that stuff that contributed to that. So I had more of a negative connotation behind it. So yeah, knew nothing about it. And then, but then all of a sudden I had some money to play with and started looking at it. Never liked stocks because it always felt like gambling to me. And then, as you get older and wiser, you can, read through the lines and start learning about different things that you dismissed before. And real estate was obviously one of those things. And as you learn, if you didn't know already, is the best time to invest in real estate was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. So definitely learned
Exactly.
that lesson and decided to jump in and learn the ins and outs, and was lucky enough to find Pace Morby through Bigger Pockets podcast back when that was still, a cohesive environment. And yeah, just kind of went down the rabbit hole from there. So
Right. Nice. So you joined Subto, Gator. Which one do you go for first?
first, I found Gator, and that's just by chance. I guess just whatever video I happened on when Pace was doing his whatever talk he was doing at that time. It just happened to be he was speaking about the Gator things. Like, sounded great, jumped in, and literally right after that, I came across the Subto, and I'm like, that was more where I wanted to be. So yeah, I just jumped the gun a bit before, you know, finding everything out about everything he had going on. But it doesn't matter at this point. I'm in all of them now, so from top to bottom. So we got there eventually.
Yeah, we don't get paid to say good things or about the community, but what is your thought on the community, the Subto community?
Oh man, yeah, it's just wild, and it's one of those almost awkward things because just like you said, we don't get anything for speaking positively about it. But like, if you picture a community and what you would like it to be, that's what it is. People throw the word community around a lot, but it's just a whole bunch of people who all have various goals, but kind of under a larger umbrella, and they're all working on their different angles to help one another out. So when if you have a specialty in this area and another person specializes in another, they're 100% willing to lend each other their resources to help, achieve each other's goals. Yeah, it's just nonstop collaboration, communication. It's like there's just so much you can do, so many people you can work with. It can kind of overload you sometimes. But yeah, it's pretty incredible. To that point, I was making it so just amazingly positive, and then the opportunity to meet people in person and just experience in person the same thing you experience in the online community. So everybody's always positive, willing to help out, and you tell people outside of the community and it's like that borderline, are you in a cult? Like, it's everybody is just so happy and positive with everything that's going on. Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you define it, but I wouldn't say so. But yeah, everybody's great. Like, what do you want me to say?
Right. Yeah, the community's been great. How long ago was it that you joined?
It's been about a year now. April 2023 is when I joined Gator. And then basically every 6 months from there, I joined another community. So went to Subto next, and then they released Top Tier, and I jumped into that as well. So, and then of course, Owners Club at the Squad Up Summit. So
Owners Club, baby. So top two, you're actually a transactional coordinator as well.
I am. That's one of my businesses as Apex Creative Coordination. So I've developed that to focus on the difficult transactions. So there's plenty of transaction coordinators that go through the program that can help you out with the standard Subto stuff, Gator loans, things like that. So I'm like, where can I niche in there? Because there's, when you build a program like that, it creates competition. So you have to find a way to
Yep.
build a market for yourself. And so I decided, well, I'm all about efficiency, and where could I make the most impact would be maximizing the efficiency on the really difficult transactions that others might have a hard time with. So the Morby methods, big multifamily business acquisition stuff, anything that's kind of even less traditional than the sub twos and seller finance types of transactions. So that's kind of what I built it around to focus on.
Awesome, man. You went with the trifecta of Pace, Morby's communities, and then the top one, Owners Club as well, dude. Awesome, dude. That's fantastic. Which is your main business then? You have the Network Gladiators. Now you have Top Gear's business as well.
Yeah, so the primary one is still Network Gladiators, just because it's been going for longer. And then I don't really push top tier. It's not at least not yet. It's not a business that I market and like actively try to grow. It's something that I offer to people when I meet them and see that they might have a need in person during networking events or to the community. If someone has a bad experience with a transaction coordinator or, can't get Molly to do something, and I try and jump in and be a decent backup in that regard. But my main business as a whole is kind of being transmutated into just acquisitions and scaling as a whole. So I have multiple businesses, including the ones we've talked about and a few others we haven't. And then the Everest that we've worked on through the Owners Club process has kind of helped me dial back in on focusing on what I'm good at, which is figuring out the strengths and weaknesses of the operations of a business, how they go about their day to day and how that can be optimized, improved, and scaled out to really optimize their opportunity to grow and remove some of the chaos and, not have to live their life in their business and get rid of the confusion for the employees to make a better work environment, things like that.
Nice. So you said you were a chef for a bit, and then did you build your company after that?
Yeah, so the transition was kind of, I guess it's always kind of odd, but yeah, it's a bit random. But yeah, my primary career going out, you know, up until the transition to what I'm doing now was as a cook slash chef. Worked in various places. And the last one, I grand opened our local True Food Kitchen, which is a national chain. It's a real great restaurant, but definitely the best one I ever worked for, too. And I was on the way to be their next executive chef. And I sat down and thought about it. I'm like, okay, if I do this, I got to commit to it. I could be making 100 grand within the next year, but I'll be here 7 days a week, 12 hours a day minimum. And as soon as I just got through that thought, I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing. So I'm like, well,
That wasn't part of your dream.
yeah, yeah. Now what? Now what do I got to do? Because I didn't have a plan or an idea at that time. So I really started diving in, trying to figure out, all right, what do I really want to do? I got to stop wasting time. It's getting past the point of me to make a career decision. And I settled on home inspections, actually. So I went into the home inspection game and trying to kind of cut the story short, the clients would often ask, since you have a lot of knowledge about home systems, HVAC, electrical, all that, being a home inspector, ask me if I could actually help them fix stuff. And the answer to that, of course, is no, because you can't have a conflict of interest of pointing things out that are wrong so you can fix it. So that's
Right.
generally strongly frowned upon. I mean, there's no direct, generally speaking, licensure that forbids it, but it's considered bad practices. So anyway,
Right.
but every now and then they would ask me to do something on the other side of things that I actually could mess with, which was kind of IT, home office theater related. Like, can you mount this TV for me? Or I have a security system. Can you help me install that? And I don't inspect those. So that was fair game. And cutting to the point here, that actually ended up being more lucrative than home inspection. So I was switched over to doing home office IT stuff, which happened to be right when the pandemic hit.
Oh
So
no.
right when the pandemic hit, 3 months before that, I was working in a restaurant. 3 months later, all the restaurants were shut down, and I set up a business where I was setting up all these home offices for people that were, getting their Zooms ready for, all the remote work that was happening. So just incredible timing, super lucky. And then from there, I eventually got tied into the commercial side of things, which is now the primary focus.
Sweet. Is that something? I guess that's not something you ever really thought about was getting into networking when you were younger, huh? It was just something you kind of fell into.
Exactly right. I've always been kind of tech savvy. I grew up right in the middle of the invention of the internet. So I had a computer in my house with the dial-up tone when I was, around 10 or 11, maybe, something like that.
Right.
And growing up with that, you have a degree of advantage. And of course, parents who had it, my mother was going to college and she asked me questions and, just able to figure it out. So I was always decent with technology, always around it, always using it. People would always ask me for help on things, employers, friends, whatever. So it was just something that I was decent at. I didn't ever even think it was a career. Like never even came across, no one ever even mentioned it to me. So it was kind of funny. Yeah, it took such a long way around to get there when it was honestly pretty obvious. And actually, I probably could have made a ton of money if I would have actually focused on it on those earlier years because, all of that stuff was still being developed. So I was an early adopter, probably could have made a killing. But yeah, no one gave me the idea, and I wasn't smart enough to see it myself. So I missed that one.
Don't worry about it. I did my first sub two. I realized when I was in Scottsdale for the retreat, I did my first sub two in '98,
Wow.
and I did a house hack. And I mean, those words were not common to anybody at that time. So it was my parents. They bought another house, and it was four brothers, and they bought a three-bedroom house. I was like, oh, I'm not going to share a room with my brothers anymore. They're 5 years apart and younger. I'm 17. It's like I'm already working. Let me take over the house payment. And they did, and I rented it out the rooms to some roommates. And again, if I had known what it was and started, I could have had, an empire since then. But I didn't. It's just things that we don't dream of, things that we don't know that we can start with. You know, I never thought that I could go ask somebody else about it. It's like, oh, it's only a parent thing that would help you out with the sub two taking
Right.
over their house. And then the double-edged sword of knowing technology, like you said, you helped out people with tech. One day I was working at a plant and we were in a conference room, and I'm a tech guy as well. So they were having issues with just getting the TV to connect to a computer. And then I waited for them to try to figure it out, and I got tired of waiting. So I was like, "Hey, look, you gotta just do this and that." And then the representative says, "Oh man, it always pays to have an IT guy." I go, "It doesn't pay me." It's not laughing. He's like, "Yep, yep, that's true."
And
So
yep,
knowing it,
yep, just like that. Same thing. It's just a lot of that, which, gave me the experience to eventually jump into it professionally. But yeah, a lot of helping people out and, and not getting paid for sure.
oh yeah, especially with family members, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And you think it's like it's easy, it'll be quick, and then they ask you more questions. Like, well, since you're there, can you do this? And like, oh my God, sometimes I wish I didn't know this because, and then I'm a helpful person, so I'm looking at it. And I'm trying to get into the habit of not helping out with little things that way, but it just like irks me. It's like so easy, but you gotta understand that our time is more valuable doing something else than telling somebody how to. Like yesterday, I was setting up somebody a network. They moved their computer, so it went from Windows does like public network and private network. So it wouldn't connect to the printer until I told it, yeah, find the printer on the network and go ahead and print. But it wouldn't ask you that when you went to go print. It would just get stuck in the queue. So simple things like that.
Printers are the worst.
We have a whole freaking couple episode podcast on just
Oh
issues.
yeah, for sure. Like it's yeah, they're great when they connect if they just connect up, but the second there's a problem,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
they can be a nightmare. It's so stupid, all the little back end things and printer programs and stuff that just yeah. I don't do printer work. I turn that down. 90, you got to pay me $200 an hour to go do printer work.
Nice. All right. You're still in Kansas. You've been there your whole life?
Pretty much, I bounced around a bit, but primarily in Kansas. I've lived in San Diego for a couple of years. And that's been it. Yeah, San Diego a couple of years, and started the outdoor personal training company that just I mean it was going good, but I was watching way too many motivational videos at that time apparently, and they're like go all in, and you make it happen. And so I went all in, spent a ton of money on a marketing company. And again, a long story short, there basically spent myself out of business before they ever gave me a dime back on the return there. So I ended
Wow.
up, after living in my car for a year, coming back to Kansas City and rebuilding from there.
Wow, man. What is your focus now on real estate?
It's pretty passive, actually. So real estate wise, if a great deal comes just my way by accident, which happens rarely, I'll take a look at it or pass it to somebody else. But generally speaking, it's something that I do to mitigate taxes. So when businesses are doing well, I have a lot of income, coming in, my tax bracket's going up, then we pick up a property to help offset that. And then businesses who are having a hard time, then offload that for the cash flow, use it to rebuild if need be. And that's how I cycle it. I was planning on being a lot more active on the real estate side, but there's a few different things. But the primary thing that had me pivot from that was the Mount Everest. Just really focusing on and pinpointing what you want to do just helped me kind of filter through everything and realize that yeah, it's real estate is good for me, what I'm good at, and the way I can really provide value and maximize my impact is through, you know, business acquisitions and helping others to scale and build out for equity, stuff like that.
Okay. So what is your Mount Everest?
Yeah, so my Mount Everest is to build a impact fund of $100 million within the next 5 years to invest in critical technologies for problems that aren't getting a lot of the attention that they deserve, like the impending water shortages, global water shortages that are coming out, the lack of reusable topsoil. So, you know, we can grow food. And then, of course, biodiversity is crashing in a lot of areas. So, I'm not a super intelligent person. I'm not going to be the one to invent any of these things. So, I want to build a fund to where I can find some of these people working on these kind of issues and then offer funding for them, grants and stuff like that to help speed it along. Because the government's not interested in funding anything that's not a weapon. And most investors aren't interested in investing in anything that they can't see an immediate return on. And so people who were really working on revolutionary, groundbreaking technologies and inventions like that have a hard time finding funding to actually bring things to fruition. So to that end, my goal is to scale and acquire businesses and then generate income and build the fund out that way.
Okay. Your first step's going to be acquire some businesses to get cash flow to help with the funding. And then when you start funding, it's going to be, I assume, accredited funders or accredited people to fund it.
Potentially, really, the goal is to fund it mostly myself now through the business acquisitions and scaling. That's the primary focus. Now, if people want to help out that way, then yeah, that's something I'll look into. But that's not my focus. I mean, and I'll probably pivot. Obviously, we're early on in this journey. So I'm still on phase one of that, which is amassing or, you know, not even amassing, but acquiring businesses and scaling them to the degree where we have a significant amount of income to be able to do these things. But with that will come some credibility, and then I probably will or should look into finding accredited, you know, investors and even unaccredited. Look at the maybe doing the PACE thing. I forget what that it's called, but where non-accredited accredited people can invest in a fund. But he mentioned that's a huge pain, so it may not be worth it. But anyway, fun things to look into in the future as we get closer to making that stuff happen.
Yeah, I think you said it cost them $300,000 to make it non-accredited. So
Wow.
it'll put you like 30% behind doing that. I mean, it gives other people the option that aren't accredited, which is a nice. I mean, I was able to put some money in on that, so it's cool to be
Yeah,
able
I
to.
did too.
Yeah, but unfortunately, to get to where you want to do, it's going to be a little pricier to get started. That'll kind of put you in a hole a little bit, but it'll open up resources to get a lot more. I don't know if to get $300,000 worth of non-accredited people, that might not balance out. All right, so your goal right now is to get acquire businesses. What kind of businesses are you going after?
So the answer, of course, is any of them that cash flow to a certain degree. But if you make me get specific, like my prime targets are ones that align with my primary contractor business, which would be other structured cabling companies or IT management companies, and any of the trades, so commercial, HVAC, electrical companies, anything along those lines that would go hand in hand with the trade that I currently run. It would be the easiest adopter and be the easiest to scale overall, just because it's, you know, again, hand in hand with what I'm already doing. But I also, as I mentioned before, you know, I've run health and wellness clinics, integrated healthcare facilities. I've been an office manager for, I've been a personal trainer, a massage therapist. So I've done a lot of the health and wellness things. That's kind of like one of my passions for sure. So like med spas or anything health and wellness related would be something that I'd be passionately interested in. But generally anything that would scale well and is not a solopreneur thing. Immediately my focus is particularly around just the retirement community, taking over, you know, businesses for retirees who may not have a plan for their business. They don't have a successor. They maybe haven't even thought about or even are aware that they can sell the business. That's where I feel like currently my best fit is, and that I'm actively pursuing and targeting and trying to find opportunities for that, because it's, you know, it's a win-win scenario. It's, you know, I can provide retirement income for them, and, you know, I'm going to actually keep these businesses. I'm not going to sell out to a bigger fund later down the road. It's the goal is to keep the businesses local and build them out. So kind of helping to preserve the legacy that they've built and keep impacting the community. So that's my active focus. And then anything that kind of comes to me from that ecosystem just through osmosis, I look at for sure. But that's what I'm actively targeting at the moment.
Okay. And right now, are you able to take over in Kansas? Do you have anywhere else set up that you're able to take over?
Yeah, depending on the business, I'm open to nationwide for sure. Basically, the difference is the amount of capital they need to be making, the revenue. So if it's going to be out of state, I'm going to have to go fly to, at least that's the way that I do business, is I go there and actually need to see the day-to-day operations to see, what's going on with the business and if it's something that is going to be a good fit for me. I just don't look at a spreadsheet because it's, again, my goal is to keep these, build them, expand them. So I've got to make sure it's going to be a decent fit. So if it's outside of my state, I need to be there the minimum annual net income. So their actual profit needs to be 500,000 plus.
Okay. So whoever's watching this, if you have family members, people, a business that the owner is ready to retire and they don't have anybody to take it over, just reach out to the Catalyst to help them take it over so that business doesn't die when the owner retires. Let's let it keep going. I'm pretty sure they have a lot of customers that would like to see the business continue. Right now in Kansas would be the fastest way, easiest way for him to take care of it. But anywhere in the States, he's open to take over that business and help the owner retire peacefully and not worry about their business going into the wrong direction.
Absolutely. And keeping the jobs too. Keeping the jobs there is a big thing. It's, it affects various aspects of the community when someone shuts a business down, and the least of which is not the employees. They're definitely on the top of the mind there. It's everybody's got to find a new job if a business closes it down. So
Right. So, do you have any properties real estate wise at the moment?
I have three, all centered out here in the Johnson County area.
Any of them
Yep.
subto?
Yeah. One's full seller finance. The other one is a sub. Two of them are seller finance. The last one is sub two, and they're all just long term rentals.
Awesome. Congratulations. And how did you land those?
Just osmosis, kind of like I was saying, just talking to people at meetups and things like that, and then eventually found the right connection that had what I was looking for. So you get end up on all these email lists and things like that, people sending you leads, but eventually they send you one that you're looking for. So it's sometimes it's annoying, especially if it's not something you're actively pursuing. But yeah, if you're willing to wade through it, eventually you get a good one that comes your way. So take it or leave it, right? If you're looking into jumping into that kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, go ahead, let them get you on your list, and then they're going to send you everything you don't want, even though they're asking you for your buy box, and you tell it to them. They send you everything that's not in your buy box anyway.
Yeah,
One
they
day they'll
just
send you
do.
one, and then you get to snap it up. So
Nice. What kind of exit strategy are you using on those properties?
don't have one. They're going to sit there until either I need the capital or for whatever reason the market turns and it doesn't make sense to hold them anymore, which out here I'd be surprised. So no, those are mine.
What are they? Long-term rentals, short-term rentals?
Yep, long term. I've thought
Okay.
about Airbnb, but it's just, obviously the advantage is higher cash flow, disadvantage, more active. So
Right.
it's, again, since it's something that is not my focus, it's just there is mostly a tax write-off, and then obviously the appreciation benefits in the long run. It's not something I put a whole lot of thought into. I'm just so busy with everything else going on, so there's probably better ways to utilize them more effectively, including maybe looking at moving it to the Airbnb and then doing some kind of property management or something like that. But anyway, I'm just not really taking the time to focus in on that too. Yeah, it's
Right.
like they're there, cool, it's taken care of. All right. Every now and then I have a maintenance call.
They're all in Johnson County?
Yeah,
Okay. So if you found an Airbnb manager that would basically do all of it for you, you'd be cool with that?
possibly. Caveat is I don't even know if it's legal out in Johnson County either, though. It's like
Yeah, you'd
it's
let
a
them
it's a
take care
very
of all
nice
that.
area, and so it's, again, it's just something I haven't delved into. So it may be where they're at. It's by, usually it's the HOAs. I don't think there's a state or county. There may be. They're picky, so
Yeah.
there may be a county legislation on it, but there's definitely HOAs that you have to deal with all the time. So I need to. At one point, I'll look into that paperwork and and actually see what what the
No, well,
regulations
if
are.
we find a manager, they'll take care of all that. So we just give them the
Yeah, fair
addresses for
enough.
you to help you out. So I'm Edgar the connector, so I'll try to connect you with somebody, you know.
Nice.
So
I
just
appreciate that.
yeah, for sure, man. Anywhere you can, if there's opportunity to grow what you already have, kind of like you make your income and you're getting more money by buying a property and saving a good amount of the income that would have gone to Uncle Sam. So if you have a property and you can change the way it's being used to make more income, that's the best way to do it. Just use what you already have instead of trying to invest in something else and start from scratch with that property and hopefully it works with what you're doing.
True enough. Yeah. Yeah,
All
learn
right.
that the hard way. It's always better to yeah, keep working on what you've got versus starting from scratch. Definitely
Yeah, for
took me too
sure.
long to learn that lesson, but I've got it now.
Hey, well, at least you started and you learned, and then now you can get to the point where you can own it and not have to worry so much with delegating.
Yeah, well, that's the goal. That's what I'm working on now. The other battle I'm fighting is, I learned the business partner I replaced at Network Gladiators was, I didn't know it at the time, but he was the guy landing all these contracts or finding the connections that was landing them all. And so he landed a couple big ones for us that kept us going for years. And he just fell out hard, let's say. I ended up replacing him. And again, I was the guy that was organizing the chaos. The other two partners were definitely chaos. So anyway, I step in there and then found out, oh, the other partner has no idea how to bring in business. So that's a battle I've been working on, is trying to figure out and optimize the bid landing process. It's weird because it's a combination of networking and pricing, right? So it's not just a matter of sending out your price and them hiring you. It's like you have to find a way to connect with these people and network, make friends, and then if you have a good price and you submit a competitive bid, then you'll get the work. It's like, all right, well,
Right.
they don't GCs don't have a meetup to where you can go network with them, at least that I've found. So it's not something I consider I'm good at, is a bit nebulous. And of course, the people who know how to do it, they gatekeep that information hard.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's the money making, that's the money making strategy there is knowing how to do that. So yeah, the guys who can make big money. But yeah, it's a difficult nut to crack. So we've been having fun trying to figure that one out.
Right. So you need basically a salesman to help find more contracts for networking.
Yeah,
Is
let me look here. I actually had to look up the title because again, it's like salesman doesn't really do it justice, or it's not specific enough. So I finally took the time to find it, and yeah, it would be like a business development and proposal manager. That's specifically what I'm looking to hire. That would really take everything, to the next level. Provided that they're good at it.
have you tried posting anything on LinkedIn for that?
Not yet. That's kind of the next step in the process. I've been doing the battle of, is this something that I need to figure out myself and learn, or is this something I should hire out? And there's various schools of thought, and the one that I leaned in or would like to lean into is you're not good at it, hire it out. But then you have the other aspects, like one of them that really made me kind of refocus in that regard was Pace put out a Instagram snap or a story, Instagram
Yeah.
story, and it was basically he said operators, integrators are useless without sales.
Right.
Sales are all that matter, and it's like, well, generally I would consider myself an operator, but I've got to like the whole reason I'm a business person, run my own businesses is to be in control of my life and the way things are run. And so, I don't know why, but that just kind of really hit me in the gut. It's like, okay, maybe I need to, whether I'm good at it or not, maybe that's something I should make myself good at. And another thing that I play in my head is there's a clip from David Goggins, if you're familiar, who he was doing an interview and he was talking about his running, and when he was talking about it, he's like, running is the thing I hate to do the most in this world, and I do it like I love it. So it's like the combination of those two things made me think, okay, maybe I just need to make it happen. Problem is that's slow. It's 'cause I'm not good at it, so there's a massive learning curve. But we'll see how it goes. But that's why I haven't like made the job post or taken action and actively trying to find somebody. If someone kind of comes my way and jumps in and makes it happen, then okay. But until then, think I'm going to try and make it happen myself just because of those two things and trying to live up to that.
Just make posts of those on Instagram and Facebook. Hey man, I'm doing this. You know anybody that does something like that? You'd be surprised. I mean, I did a lot of networking as well. I never found somebody like you that was doing that type of job. I might have jumped into it 20 years ago and said, "Hey, let me do some networking." Because I wired my house. I mean, just regular Cat 5, but I wired my entire house with that. I know about the PoE, power over Ethernet, for like smart devices, and especially Instagram. You're gonna have a lot of tech people that are on there, especially these days. So I'm pretty sure you can find somebody, not even doing LinkedIn posts, just on Instagram saying, "Hey man, I'm doing some networking that can do," and just throw out some words that mostly only a network type person is gonna know it, right? And those people reach out, say, "Hey, reach out, see how we can work together," either commission based or, I mean, if you find somebody knowledgeable enough, you can replace that partner that you had before. Just an idea out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and again, that's just the battle that I'm fighting. It's like, okay,
Just start, man. Just start.
should I
Just
just
do it.
make it happen myself, or should I find somebody to,
You, you
should I
can't scale
find somebody?
yourself. Yeah, you can't scale yourself. You're already trying to do a lot of things. So get some help. I'm in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
situation. I'm a solopreneur and I'm looking for help. And again, I get scared as well. It's like I know I can do it myself. I feel like I'm an octopus. If it's within arm's reach, I'm gonna go grab it and do it real quick. But grabbing this dollar here is making me miss $100 over here. So
yeah, for sure.
just think about that. Is that $100 that I'm reaching for? Or is that a dollar that I'm reaching for comparatively?
Yeah, is this the level one opportunity or the level 10?
Exactly. Exactly. What about Gator? Are you doing anything with Gator?
So I'm focusing on the long-term things on the Gator side, which would be around just the credit building and stuff like that. So I'm working to build just large lines of credit, which I may or may not lend out, but I may actually use it for just loans for my businesses, should I need them, or to acquire a business if I'm
Right.
not able to negotiate hard enough to get the no money down stuff going, or if somebody actually needs a down payment for some reason, which does happen depending on the demographic you're working with, right? Which is why I focus on the retirement side. It's like usually they value a steady income for a longer period versus needing a big lump sum up front. So that allows me to do more quickly versus tying a bunch of money up on a lump sum for one business. So
Right.
but
You
yeah,
don't want
that'll
to
allow for opportunities on that front, down the road as well. So
Yeah, you don't want to miss those opportunity costs. Okay. Are you searching properties yourself, like on Crexy or was it BizWatch, Biz Buy Sell, things like that?
nope. I mean, I keep my eye open every now and then. I reach out, but again, it's off market is where the real deals are. If it's market, absolute worst case scenario, you have a broker to pay. And if you're buying a big business, it's a lot of damn money. So I try and avoid that. It's not that I don't like brokers. It's like wholesales, right? It's like, well, if you have the money to pay a wholesaler, great, but or you cut out the middleman and get it yourself, which is where you can actually get stuff no money out of your pocket. So being that that's generally the goal because that allows you to do more in a shorter period of time. Yeah, I stay the off market side. That's especially with this last retreat. That was what my primary focus was building out my funnels. And I'm going to launch an advertising campaign starting tomorrow to really try and start generating a lot of leads for the off market business stuff.
Okay. So if somebody were keeping an eye on Crexy and then they wait for a business to be the listing to go expired, then they reach out to the owner that is about to retire and looking for somebody to buy it. What other information would you want to know before that person brings you the deal?
Yeah, so Crexy is interesting. I mean, that's more commercial buildings, not really businesses. Every now and then they come with a business inside it, but you're basically just renting it at that point. But yeah, really, it's just yeah, I'm not complicated because I just look at no matter what you tell me, I'm going to look at everything myself. So yeah, just give me the baseline numbers. What do they need total? What do they need up front? What kind of terms are they open to? If you can find out why are they selling it, that may be something that's better for me to dig into. But if you get there, that's useful information. And then cap rate or cash flow, just the basic check boxes to see if this is even worth looking at. And then yeah, from there, I'll do the deep dive. So yeah, that's really all I need.
Okay. So the way I see it would be actually what you would want to know is the seller's contact, the reason they're selling, and then what they have is their P&L, the profit and loss, their cap at the end. I really wouldn't say so much about the numbers they want because what they want and then what happens after you discuss it with them, talk to them about their needs and how we can help out in a creative way, those numbers can always change.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
So as long as it's the
that's for sure.
yeah, as long as the down payment isn't like a huge 100% or 60% or 50% of it, that we should be able to figure out a way to acquire that business by helping the seller, keeping the business in place, keeping the employees in place. So yeah, anybody that is who said, sorry, I don't know too much about the business, so let's say not correctly, but I think there's biz buy sell and biz watch.
Biz buy sell. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're watching
There's
this,
a few of them. Biz by Sell is the main one, but yeah, that's the main one. And then Cody Sanchez just launched hers, and I forget what it's called. I think it's Biz Scout, and I signed up for it, but I haven't actually looked into it yet, just because again, my focus is off market. So I've been really dialing in the copy and the process for lead, just direct lead generation, because that's always going to be my primary focus anyway. It's just the direct leads. But yeah, those are definitely good spots to scrape, in passing. Or if you do have the capital to play with to just, because basically, again, if they're on the market, they know they can sell their business. They've already contemplated it. So they're going to have a higher expectation of what they want up front. They also have probably gone through, read some stuff about, okay, well, you need to do this, this, and this, kind of like someone selling a property on market, right? It's like they know, they are aware of the traditional path. And so they may or may not be as receptive when you offer a more creative option, even if in the long term it would be more beneficial. So once people have a specific idea in mind, that can ossificate and be harder to break through. So, which is again why I tend to prefer off market, because again, even if it's for sale by owner on one of these platforms, they've gone through some of their own information and have a idea of what they want to do. And it's just a more difficult negotiation, which is not bad, right? But it's just, again, where do I want to spend my time? Do I want to, spend my time over here trying to crack a walnut, or do I want to buy a bag of walnuts pre-cracked?
yeah, for sure.
It saves
That's
the
what I'm
time and
saying.
effort, just
I'm saying to find you some bird watchers that will wait for the listing to expire. So now it's technically off market to find you the seller's number. And because it's already been listed for a while and it's no longer listed, that the seller's in a little bit more pain because their broker wasn't able to sell it. So you already know they want to sell it because it was listed, but they couldn't get the price that they wanted. So if you get it on terms, then you should be able. And so you already have a lead because you know they're selling it. And then we get you a bird watcher that catches it, finds it once it expires, gets you the information and the reason they're selling. Then it kind of gives you a head start with it.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's definitely a great way to go about it. If you have someone who can, watch that for you like that, or if you have the time yourself to watch it like that. So that's, yeah, absolutely a great way to go about it.
Sweet. Try to see if we find you some bird dogs.
Yeah,
Are you
that'd be great too. That'd be awesome.
sweet? What about partnering up with other people that are doing business acquisitions? Are you open to that?
Yeah, definitely open. Yeah, definitely open to it. That's where it gets interesting, right? It's like I say I'm open to it, but it's like there are so many different ways that could be structured. But yeah, I'm definitely, that's what it's all about, right? Squad up. So I'm
Exactly.
happy to work with anybody who's doing
Squad
this
up.
already. Yep. Yeah, it's many hands makes light work. So anytime you can, expand people that are working on the same goal, even if it's on in different areas, is always advantageous. So
Yeah, for sure. I know a couple of business buyers. I think two of them are in Florida. So I'll talk to them about them and see how y'all can work something out together. Do some connecting here.
that's awesome. So what made you decide that connecting was going to be one of your things? You're just the guy that knows people, or yeah, how did that come about?
I have a good memory on things like that. So when people will say, "Hey, I'm business buying," and then listen to the pace about connecting people and being able to throw like a connector fee in there, it's like, oh, I mean, I already do this. I already connect people. So why not try to make it into a little bit of a business? And then my name's Edgar, and just recently, Edgar the connector. I think I started like 4 days ago,
Yeah, that's good. I
like the
like it.
day
Edgar the
afterwards.
connector.
Yeah. It's because my name's a little bit difficult. I think personally, just a little difficult to remember, and some people don't say it well either. I've heard so many different ways that people are saying it. So I was like, I think Edgar the Connector just clicks a little bit better. And
Yeah, that does. It gives them an extra phonic on the end there to kind of help relate it.
Yeah, it'd be easy to remember. So I was like, okay. And it's just I've connected quite a few people, so I think I should start, using it to my benefit as well, besides benefiting others and leaving myself out of it.
Right. Yeah, it's well, that's the interesting thing about the connection is the like I feel like that would be a good spot for me just because a lot of the people that I meet, which is probably the case for everybody, but especially in this community since I'm almost 100% focused now on the business side. This is a real estate community and there's a hint of the business acquisition side and I think they're going to lean a little more into that as we move forward, but regardless, to this point everybody's mostly focused on real estate. So I meet a lot of people with all kinds of real estate, capabilities and not very useful to me, at least at the moment, but could help out others. But man, my memory sucks. So it's like I got to write all this stuff down on a chart and try. So it's like it's hard for me to actually make use of that just because I got to remember that they need something. And then I've got to find where I wrote down what the other person has, where I have it, and then, try and match it up. And if I didn't write good enough notes or I lost it or something, then so it's yeah, connector. I would like to be considered a connector, but yeah, especially because of the memory thing, I'm like freaking squirrel, man. It's like if I don't write it down in that moment, like it's gone. It's gone in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, everybody's got their thing, right? I don't know why, but I tend to remember. It's like, oh, hey, have you met this person? So
Yeah, that's awesome.
hopefully I can use it to my advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely super useful because again, we're all in a amazing community with all kinds of resources. And the biggest problem is that we're not connecting with the right people to optimally utilize them. So that's a huge battle that could really make a massive impact in the community and the people a part of it as a whole is to try and bridge those gaps more effectively. So
Yeah, and with Owner Club, we have so many contacts at our disposal that we should use it, take advantage of it to not benefit ourselves, but you can benefit the person you're reaching out to as well. Because you may have
exactly,
what they need. Like they say, you don't know who has the map to your treasure.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a great one. Okay, so besides business building, what else do you need or business
Man, those
finding?
are the two things, off market leads and then the business. What did I call that again? I can't, that title just not stick in my head.
The
What did
business
I call
development and I forgot the last word. Sales.
it? Better than
Business
me.
development and
You
sales.
only heard
Yeah.
it once. Business development and proposal manager.
Proposal. Proposal manager. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the two key things so that, leads are always going to be ongoing, but that one critical person could, really help skyrocket the progress of my primary business, which then again trickles down to my ability to do everything else. So
With your network gladiators, are you using a lot of point of sale transactions?
what do you mean?
I guess like credit card processing.
No, no, most of that is done through ACH or paper check, actually.
Okay. Just curious. I met somebody that does point of sale, so if you're getting charged a high
Nice.
fee, I would connect you to save on that fee.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, no, not for that business. I may have others that come up in the future, so but not at the moment, no.
Yeah, but they also
Yeah,
do a
at
lot
least
of
go
point of
ahead, sorry.
sale. Yeah, no worries. They do a lot of point of sale cold calling and door knocking on businesses.
Oh yeah,
So I'm gonna talk to them about seeing if they can pitch their networking as well, like towards the end, because their focus is gonna be point of sale, but they may be able to throw your information out there for
they happen to
networking.
come across somebody, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you go to businesses that do it, and they have their security cameras. If they have outdated security cameras, or if they have some that are like battery operated or just plugged in when they can do the PoE networking to have it all centralized. And a lot of them don't know that. You don't know what you don't know,
Right.
right?
Exactly, for sure. Oh, it's wild some of the stuff I see. Yeah, it's even in some of these, like we just finished a $4 million AV contract for a sports facility in our local area here. And we did not get the low volt bid for that, so for the fiber copper, we did not get that. But we did do the AV, so all the speakers, the TVs, all that kind of stuff. And we saw that this is a $250 million project, so $250 million building. And you would not believe the trash work that I saw from those low volt guys, man. I mean, it looks like someone from did their own home network, like just cables hanging everywhere, just sloppy work. And then they pulled cables to the wrong place twice. And then when we went through to trace them out because we were supposed to connect our devices to the runs, the where they thought they pulled it was still wrong. So it was just like a project like that, and that is the kind of work people are doing, it's wild. And that's on a brand new build. And then you go back to some of these old or small mom and pop businesses or just older businesses. Like if you ever walk into a Target or a Walmart network, oh my gosh, it's just wild. It's wild.
Yeah, I bet. So and when I'm looking at it, somebody not well, I know about it, but I know somebody that doesn't know about network gladiators. It's not just computer networking. What all does that involve? You said AV, so you do television connections, like multi one connection in, multi TV connections out. Then you
Yep.
do security cameras, alarm
Security cameras,
systems. Go ahead.
things like video walls, so all the big screens that you see that are
Micro
multiple
LEDs.
screens, that we can install that stuff. The access control, so the automatic locks on your doors, things like that. Like what is the just
So
oh
that
yeah, like
includes
your
the badge.
projectors,
That
yeah, the
includes the
badge
badge
stuff.
locks. Okay.
Yep, exactly. Badge locks, projector screens, anything like that. Yeah, basically anything that involves running a cable or connecting to a computer or, a switch or device that isn't high voltage. That's why they call it low voltage. So yeah, anything that's not high voltage that involves a cable and or just connecting to a computer some way, that's, we deal with it. But yeah, our primary focus is on like the big setups for your Wi-Fi, your network devices, your actual network room, your rack, stuff like that, all the switches. And then fiber is our actual emphasis. So we've got a specialty in fiber because it's the equipment for that is expensive. So not anybody can pull a cable, but not everybody can certify, splice, pull, certify, splice fiber. So that's where we kind of leaned into. And yeah, we could also do your surveys to try and figure out where you're having issues and what could be done to help improve, what you have going on. So
When y'all set up security systems, do you also set up like the back end, the security software, the DVRs, cloud recording, or is that somebody else that comes in, another third party software that you use?
depends on a lot of things. So it depends on how the business is planning to manage it. If they're going to manage it locally, which means it's just the owner that's going to run it, then we'll do it. If they actually have a management company, an IT manager, then usually they do it because they want to do it because they're the ones that are going to be remoting in and dealing with it anyway. So yeah, the answer is yes, we can if we need to.
Okay. Got it. Great. Cool. So hopefully we can find you some people to help you get you some leads. Hopefully find you a business development and proposal manager and
Yes,
get you connected with some people that are doing business acquisitions as well. And I'll see if I can talk to that person that's doing the point of sale sales to see if they can pitch your company there as well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, those would all be incredible connections. So
Great. Great. What are you looking forward more to for 2025?
yeah, so I'm super looking forward to just figuring out the lead gen process. Like I said, I've got it all built, planning on launching it in earnest tomorrow. And so it's going to be all about maximizing that. And then it's going to see, I've already got a few businesses that I've acquired, but it'll be a matter of, what's the next one and what challenges do those present. So that's the fun part about it and why it fits me so well is it's always a different thing. It's always changing. And my problem is I'm good at figuring out systems, but once I do, then I'm bored with it. I'm like, all right, what's the next thing? So that's why, acquiring different businesses or partnering with different businesses to help them out is such a good fit because it's always changing, always different. So
Yeah, I get that. I'm similar to where I do something and I'm like, I conquer it and I'm like, all right, I'm bored. Next thing. And maybe not
yeah,
conquer it
yeah,
like
it
top
was
of the game,
terrible
but
in my early professional years just because I'd be all right. I'm now, I always start off slow. I'm always not the worst, but near the bottom when I start. But then I keep going, and progressively get better until I always end up being the best at it. And then as soon as that happens, I'm like, all right, I'm ready for the next thing. And then if that doesn't come, I'm like, okay, new job. And then I'm starting at the bottom again. So I shot myself in the foot so many times, for better, for worse, right? Because who knows, I might have ended up just like some manager at one of these random companies and never gotten into any of this. So but yeah, definitely it was short-sighted and lost out on, potential at least better income in my younger years for sure, just because I bounced around too much.
got it. All right, man. Well, this has been wonderful and hopefully I can help you connect.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great talking to you, and we'll have to next time focus a little bit more on what you've got going on. We touched on it a little bit, but definitely we focus more on my side of things a bit. So, but it was great to actually, this is almost better than the actual events we had going on, at the retreat, just because it's people are trying to do so much, you don't have time to really sit and focus. So, this is kind of help remind me that this is why Pace is telling us to do these things, because this is, even if it's not in person, like we have the opportunity to really talk in depth and really kind of get to know each other and have an actual conversation versus, the 10, 15 minutes of, what do you have? What do you want? What do you need next kind of thing. And it's like, oh, I just talked to 20 people. I don't remember any of them.
Exactly. Yeah, this is one reason I was pushing it out as well. I think I have like 12 podcasts scheduled, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
It's just going to take me a while to get them all processed and finally uploaded.
Right, right, right.
So it might be
Yeah,
a
that's
month.
that's my battle. I've got so much footage just sitting on this camera that I'm using right now. And it's like, okay, eventually that has to make it onto a computer or something to where it gets uploaded.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, for sure. When you get your podcast started, just invite me and you can learn more about me.
Absolutely. Well, it was great talking to you today. And yeah, I look forward to working with you in the future.
Appreciate
All
you.
right. Sounds good. All
Yeah,
right.
check the links below so we can get a contact with him and get him connected. Have a good one. Bye bye. Catch this next podcast where you can start your dreams and start to own your time the way these other guests have.